Hello dear listener, please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy watching. Let me tell you a story. It starts with a lie and ends with a standing ovation. Somewhere in the middle, there's heartbreak, betrayal, and one hell of a revenge. This isn't fiction, not the way you're thinking. No, this is truth. The kind that leaves scars. My name is Daniel Royce. I used to be a screenwriter. Now I'm something else entirely. Back then, I lived in Los Angeles, nestled in the warm glow of semi-success. I had one hit script under my belt, enough to buy a modest house in Laurel Canyon and just enough buzz to get invited to parties I had no business attending. That's where I met Eleanor. She floated into the room like she owned it. Black dress, eyes like midnight, and a voice that tasted like whiskey and smoke. She told me she loved my writing. Said it made her feel things other men couldn't. That should have been a red flag. But I was already drowning. We married less than a year later. People said it was fast. Maybe it was. But when you're in love, real, stupid, can't see the truck coming love, you don't stop to count days. You just dive. For a while, it worked. She acted in indie films, I kept writing. But success is a cruel mistress. The more I tried to replicate my first hit, the harder I failed. Writer's block hit me like a slow-rolling plague. I'd spend hours staring at a blinking cursor, paralyzed by the weight of my own expectations. Eleanor grew cold. She started staying out late, claiming rehearsals and networking events. She still wore my ring, still kissed my cheek, but something in her eyes had gone hollow. I chalked it up to stress. Until one night, while looking for my phone charger, I found her iPad in the kitchen drawer. It was open. Lit up like temptation. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. The messages were endless. Rick Donahue. My producer. My friend. The man who gave me my first shot. Rick asterisk, he's a mess. You deserve better. Eleanor asterisk, I know. He's so weak now. He just stares at his laptop and drinks. I don't think he's written a word in months. And then photos. Of her. Of them. Together. His hand on her thigh. Her lips on his neck. My house. My goddamn kitchen. I closed the iPad and sat on the floor for a long time. Something inside me died that night. But something else was born. Cold, sharp, patient. I didn't confront her. What would that accomplish? Tears? Lies? No, I needed more. I needed to make it matter. I needed the story. The next few weeks, I played the fool. I smiled. I cooked. I even started going to therapy, told her I was working on myself. She acted supportive. The deception in her eyes was a performance worthy of an Oscar. Meanwhile, I started recording. Not just her texts. Her phone calls. Her rehearsals. I bugged our home, our cars. I used software to clone her voice, trained on hours of her dialogue. It was disturbingly easy. I created a catalog, a mosaic of infidelity. And I wrote. Not the half-hearted pages I'd been hacking out for studio notes. I wrote with blood. I wrote the truth. Every filthy detail, every whisper in the dark. I changed the names, of course, and added just enough fiction to blur the lines. But the core of it? Real as bone. I called it Glass Dolls. The story of a struggling screenwriter whose wife cheats on him with his best friend. The characters were vibrant, raw, and scathing. The wife, Lena, was manipulative and hollow. The lover, Vincent, narcissistic and cruel. The writer, the protagonist, suffers in silence, until he exacts revenge. Not through violence. Through exposure. When I finished, I didn't shop it around. I sent it anonymously to a rising indie studio known for raw, character-driven drama. I used a pseudonym, Edgar Chase. The script caused a storm. They bought it fast. Wanted to cast big names. But I had stipulations. I insisted, through my lawyer, that the female lead be played by Eleanor Royce. They agreed. I knew she couldn't resist. The role was tailor-made for her. A wounded woman wrapped in secrets and contradictions. And the male lead? Rick. I pushed for him as an executive producer. Whispered through agents and back channels that he could double his payday. Greed is the easiest emotion to manipulate. When Eleanor read the script, she texted me. Eleanor * reading this script. God, it's incredible. Are you okay? I never replied. She took the part. They both did. They thought it was a coincidence. An opportunity. A brilliant, mysterious writer with a story that would catapult them into serious stardom. Production began 6 months later. I stayed in the shadows, feeding suggestions through the director's assistant. Every line that dripped off Eleanor's tongue was a mirror of something she'd once said to me. She didn't even realize. I watched dailies. I saw them perform their betrayal scene after scene, never realizing the cage they were building for themselves. One day on set, Eleanor broke down during a take. Cried real tears. She thought it was the power of the script. I knew better. Somewhere, her subconscious was starting to recognize the pattern. Rick was arrogant, smug. He flirted with the crew. He joked about sleeping with his co-star. I encouraged it. I fed his ego through planted rumors and fan letters. Meanwhile, I was setting the stage for the second act of my revenge. I contacted influencers, critics, podcast hosts. I created a whisper network. A movement. Everyone wanted to know, who was Edgar Chase? Who had written the year's most savage love story? I made sure the buzz was just enough to keep them paranoid, but not enough to blow my cover. The LA premiere was held at the Egyptian Theater. It was surreal. Eleanor walked the red carpet in a shimmering silver dress. Rick stood beside her like a king. Cameras flashed. Fans screamed. I stood in the crowd, hood up, sunglasses on, watching. The film rolled. Laughter. Gasps. Silence. When the betrayal scenes played, you could hear a pin drop. When Eleanor delivered her final monologue, the one I had taken verbatim from a voicemail she left Rick, I saw a woman in the front row press a hand to her mouth. The film ended. Standing ovation. And then the credits rolled. Written by Edgar Chase. The next morning, I uploaded everything. A full breakdown of the script and the true story behind it. Screenshots. Audio files. Timeline comparisons. A video of Eleanor and Rick in our bed. I packaged it like a documentary and sent it to every major gossip outlet. By noon, it had gone viral. By nightfall, Eleanor was trending for all the wrong reasons. Rick's face was plastered across entertainment sites with headlines like, Hollywood Scandal of the Year. I sent one final message. To both of them. An email with a single line. Now you know how it feels to be rewritten. Eleanor lost her sponsorship deals, her agent, and her future roles. Rick's contract with the studio was cancelled. Lawsuits followed. Defamation. Harassment. Contracts breached. Deals lost. Their lives unraveled in real time. They tried to fight back. Claimed coincidence. Claimed artistic license. But the evidence was overwhelming. My documentation was airtight. The public didn't care about legal nuance. They cared about spectacle. Eleanor eventually moved to a small town in Ohio, performing in dinner theater. Rick started a podcast trying to explain his side of the story, but no one listened. His Patreon has 3 subscribers. Glass Dolls is now required viewing in screenwriting courses. They call it a masterclass in revenge writing. They say it's genius. Raw. Unapologetic. They don't know the half of it. And me? I'm still writing. The stories come easier now. Truth has a way of bleeding onto the page. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't a gunshot or a scream. It's a script. Fade to black. If you leave a comment, tell us what you think about the story you heard. It's important to us and will help us find and tell stories that you find interesting. Thank you for watching us.